With us, Louis Uccellini, the director of the National Weather Service. Patrick Ottman is in Cuba for us right now, where this storm is really developing. Patrick, be careful over there, but tell us what you can.
You know, just since the last time we talked, Wolf, the first major squall has come in. Rain blowing sideways. We can no longer see the islands off the coast. It is really blowing here. I think it's just the beginning of this very powerful storm. Category 5 coming to this section of Cuba, and I think it's just the beginning of a very long night.
When we spoke just a little while ago, Patrick, it seemed relatively calm, pretty sunny, almost like a normal day, and all of a sudden this has developed. So what are they saying in Cuba right now? How much time do you have before the real hurricane develops? Because this is just the outer circle of it.
Yes, these are just the outer bands. We're not supposed to get the worst of it, so probably till early tomorrow morning. But all day long, they've been telling people here in the coastal areas of Cuba, this part of Cuba, that it could flood, that the wind is going to come like this, that it's going to be very strong, and that people need to evacuate, and then there will come a time where they will no longer be able to evacuate. That time has now come. You can't drive in this, you can't walk in this kind of weather, and it's just going to continue to deteriorate. So for people in Florida who are still on the fence, these are the beginning of the conditions that they will face. This is not the full force of the storm by any measure, because remember, the storm is passing by Cuba. It's not going to hit Cuba the way it's going to hit Florida, and I have to say, you know, it can almost knock you over. I'm leaning into the wind now, and a half an hour ago, there was almost clear skies, and we've seen this come in. It's blowing the trees. I can no longer see the water out there, and it's a very much changed situation, and it happened within the space of just a few minutes, Wolf.
Yeah, just a few minutes. Stand by, Patrick. Louis Uccellini, the director of the National Weather Service, is looking at the images that we're showing. When you see this going, this is just the beginning for the Cuban people.
That's correct. It's just the beginning, and they're on the south side of the storm. So it'll be the north side of the storm and then the east side of the storm as it makes the turn. That's actually going to be the worst part of the storm. So they're being brushed by the storm, and they're on the south side, not the worst part, and you see what's happening already.
Patrick, very quickly, there are millions of people over there potentially in harm's way in Cuba. Are they prepared for this? Have they evacuated? Are they in shelters?
So the Cuban government says that hundreds of thousands of people across this very long line have already evacuated. Tens of thousands of tourists were taken off the islands behind me, from the hotels there, the beaches, and taken to other parts of the island or to airports where they could fly home early to cut their vacation short. Other Cubans have gone to stay with relatives, have actually gone up into caves in the mountains. So everybody who was going to evacuate probably at this point has done so. Other people here in this town where I am have said that they are going to ride it out, that they've moved their furniture up to higher levels. They know there will be heavy flooding here, and this is a dangerous storm. But for many people, they just want to be in their homes to try to protect their belongings. Of course, this is a very poor country, so when a storm comes to Cuba, like the way this storm is coming, it can have a devastating impact, Wolf.
Do we know, Patrick, and I'm not going to bother you too much longer because I know the situation is getting awful over there, what the condition is at the U.S. Naval Base at Guantanamo Bay, Gitmo? The U.S. has a significant number of troops there and clearly some prisoners as well.
Absolutely, and they were hunkering down this morning because they are a little bit further to the south. Probably the worst of the storm is going to miss them. I'm on the north-central coast, so we're getting a lot more of the storm. Of course, the Cuban government has said that every bit of the coastline, the northern coastline at least, was going to be affected. The whole length, they said, up till Havana, perhaps was going to get some sort of weather. U.S. diplomats, for the first time since I've lived here 6 years ago, 6 years now, evacuated. They were allowed to evacuate. They didn't have to evacuate, but the State Department said that if diplomats wanted to leave from the embassy in Havana, they could do so, and many people took them up on that offer. Of course, this storm is going to continue to go along Cuba tonight and tomorrow, and then go up into Florida. So it just shows you how quickly the conditions can deteriorate, Wolf, and become quite a scary situation.
Patrick Ottman, one of our courageous journalists. We have journalists all over the path of Hurricane Irma right now. Thanks very much. Be careful over there. We'll stay in close touch, get some shelter. This is only going to get worse for you, for the people of Cuba, over the coming hours. We're going to take a quick break. Resume